I'm going to start by just saying like the premise of what occurred to me in the shower about an hour ago.
Okay.
That is that one of the biggest turning points, I think, in your life, in my mind, looking back now on it, is something that we haven't made that big a deal about, but it was you leaving college.
I don't think I was ever going to finish college. I wasn't in the least bit interested in it. The most fun I had was going fishing or going hunting up there.
Uh-huh.
You know, around Flagstaff and up on the San Francisco peaks and all. I didn't want to be in college. I went there because my parents wanted me to go, and off I went.
Yeah.
But I wasn't studying. I just didn't care about it. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to do something else with my life.
And I guess that's what makes it the turning point it is to me, is that you left and you didn't tell them.
No. They found out when my grandfather called them and told them we stopped there on our way going to Alaska.
Right. So stepping out and making such a drastic life change and a life decision like that, it seems to me the first real like adult decision that you made under your own power.
I never thought about it, but yeah, I guess it probably is. I had never even thought about it and looked at it that way. But I did what I wanted to do, mm-hmm. not what someone else wanted me to do.
Right.
I wanted to go to Alaska and make my life there. That's simple. I never even thought about consequences. I mean, that never entered my mind whatsoever. I wanted to go make my life in the wilds of Alaska. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. Of course, I always did what I kind of wanted to do anyway.
You don't really notice growing up. It just sort of quietly happens to you while you're busy with other concerns. And you certainly don't wake up one day and say to yourself, well, that's it. I'm an adult now. It would be nice if life were that easy to categorize and file away. Each transition effortlessly becoming a transformation we might locate on the map of life accomplishments. Here's where you learned about love. Here's where you learned about loss. And here, you became your own man. Well, that's not how it works, is it? The map, when we bother to pause and try to find ourselves on it at all, only shows us where we've been, not what's ahead, which is why it sometimes takes decades to see just where you were. When Bobby returns from the Navy at 19, he's met with his parents' expectations for just how he should live his life. Makes sense. That's what parents do. But after 2 years sailing the Pacific, learning to box, learning to move through a world populated by very different people, Bobby has other ideas.
You leave, what's the college you go to?
Arizona State College at Flagstaff.
Okay, and you're there.
I was there
2 months?
Yeah, September to October, November, December. I came home from Christmas. I went home after Christmas and we took off. I knew I was going to take off.
Really?
I didn't tell my parents.
When you came home, you'd already made that decision?
We were, Joe and I were planning to take off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
when I got back after Christmas, we got our stuff together, and Dennis Martin wanted to go too. Mm-hmm. And I said, so the three of us took off.
So you took off, you just piled in,
in my 55 Ford, and off we went.
Off you
went.
With
a broken shock.
With a broken shock, you're heading toward the Alcan to get to Alaska.
Yeah, and we first stopped by Ennis, Montana on the way up there, and stayed one night at my grandfather's. And then we took off the next day.
Where'd the idea for Alaska come from?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa can't tell us where the idea for Alaska came from.
Unfucking believable. That's too good for words.
That's great. We'll leave that in. That's fun.
Yeah. What was the question again?
Where did the idea for of going to Alaska, where'd that come from?
I read a book named Cheechako. And the Cheechako is a newcomer to Alaska. That's the word the Alaskan used to describe it. He's a Cheechako, a newcomer. And it was about a family that went up to Alaska in the 1940s. A man, his wife, and his 3 kids. And their life fishing and hunting in Alaska.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought, boy, that's for me. And that's probably the impetus I had to go.
Okay.
But I'd already, Field and Stream and outdoor life, I've been reading about Alaska since I've been a little boy, too.
Yeah.
And so it was always kind of heaven, the place I wanted to go.
Really? Wow.
The hunting and fishing.
Just some sort of ideal up there?
There weren't a lot of people, and it was still a frontier.
Yeah.
Captivated by the adventure he finds in the pages of Cheechako, lured by the romance of living at the edge of civilization, Bobby and a couple of friends take off, headed for Alaska. They make it as far as the Canadian border.
Joe and I and Dennis Martin all took off in my car and headed for Alaska. Tried to cross the border, and they wouldn't let us. They deported us in quadruplicate on paragraphs P and H of the Canadian Immigration Code. We didn't have enough money.
So this is something. They didn't just refuse you entry. They let you in and then deported you.
Deported. And I asked him, why are we deporting us?
Yeah.
I mean, he said, because you'll just go down to the next gate and try and get in there.
Right. And if you're deported, you're on a list or something.
Yes,
Then
I believe so.
Wow. Okay.
He didn't explain it, but that was pretty evident.
Right.
And so then we left, and we didn't try again. We went to Seattle.
Now, before that, I mean, the guy probably saved your life, right? Or at least saved you through a lot of...
we were heading up the Alcan Highway in February. No, it wasn't yet. It was January still.
Okay.
In a 55 Ford with a broken shock. And the Alcan Highway at the time was not what it is today, I'm sure. It was a dirt road.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we didn't head that way. We went to Seattle. Lived there for about 6 weeks or so.
Why Seattle? What were you thinking that way?
We get jobs and work there and make some money. But it was harder than you might think. We looked in the paper and looked under Help Wanted, and they were looking for people to sell encyclopedias. I can't remember. I think Dennis and I went down there. I don't think Joe did. And we got jobs. You know, if anybody walked in there to get a job. Oh, they wanted to know first, would you do commission or do you want to be paid salary? If you said salary, they got rid of you. If you said commission, come with us.
And this is like door to door, the old classic
old door to door encyclopedia salesman.
Right.
I wasn't good at it. I can sell anything if I believe in it. If I don't, I'm just lying, and everybody can see it.
Right, yeah.
You know, it just doesn't work for me. But anyway, we had a guy, our head guy, the guy that kind of...
The supervisor?
Our supervisor of our group. We called him blah, blah, blah. So boy, could he talk. But we went to Edmonds, Washington, and we had to go and get permits to operate in Edmonds, Washington. And the chief of police... A man by the name of Grimstead just told us flat out, he said, I'm sorry to deprive you guys of your way of making a living, but you are not going to go door to door selling encyclopedias in my town.
Oh, wow.
Period.
Okay. Not that kind of town, huh?
We're not going to allow it.
He was decent about it, though.
He was a nice man. He was a cop doing his job.
Yeah, sure.
Mean, he turned out to be a great guy.
Yeah.
But he said, no, we can't do it. Well, blah, 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 blah. Went and talked to him for about 10 minutes, and we were all filling out applications to work in Edmonds, Washington.
Seriously? He talked through that?
It took him 10 minutes. He talked him into letting us do it.
Wow.
That's why he would blah, 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 blah. And that's why he could sell encyclopedias like crazy.
Sure.
See, he was the supervisor.
How he became the supervisor.
Exactly.
Sure.
But we had to fill out paperwork, and where I was from, my home address, phone number, all that stuff. And I didn't think much about it. And off we went. I didn't sell encyclopedias. In fact, I only lasted about another couple of 3 times. It wasn't my deal.
Okay.
I didn't go back.
All right.
But, maybe 2 weeks later, I was in our apartment or our room in the hotel, and the phone out in the hall rang. It was a communal phone that was in the hall.
Right.
And I never answered it before. But I just went out, and I was the only one there. I went, hello? And a voice said, I'm looking for Robert Brewer. I said, that's me.
Wow.
And he said, this is Chief Grimstead of the Edmonds Police Department. I just had a call from your mother. And I hate to have to tell you this, but your father's died.
Oh, wow.
You probably need to call her. I said, thank you very much, Chief. And we hung up. And so I called my mother, and she told me what happened and all. And, then I started thinking, well, maybe I just head on home.
What had happened with your father?
He died of a heart attack.
Just out of the blue, no
Yep.
warning, just boom?
Yep.
Wow.
He had arteriosclerosis and died of a heart attack. And
How old was he? Do you know? Do you remember?
55.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was 55
Wow.
when he died. He was born in 1907.
Right, right.
And he died in, when was that?
62?
No, he died the day before my 20th birthday, so he would have died January 26, 1963.
How would you think about that? Here you are, you're 1,000 miles away from home. Would you think about your father passing?
It's just something that happened. He and I never really got along well. I mean, he was a good father. He provided well for us, but he always was trying to get me to do something else. He wanted me to be ambitious, and I wasn't. We just didn't see eye to eye on life, and I understand it now. I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
And he wanted what was best for me. And I don't know if me taking off had anything to do with it. I doubt it. I never saw him again after that Christmas. I took off and he died.
Yeah. How had it been? Had you left it up? Was it just the usual with your dad over the Christmas break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I know. It's so. You want to look back and see something, and see. But yeah, that's what happens with death. You just don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even say I was sad. It was just kind of something that happened, but it started me thinking about coming back. I didn't think right then, I got to go home, but it started me thinking about it, and then that was about the time I was working at Sam's Coffee Break Service.
This is a remarkable job.
Yeah.
I had no idea this was ever a job that people had.
I did.
But,
I delivered coffee.
Yeah, what, you delivered coffee all over Seattle?
I delivered it to businesses and whatnot for their coffee breaks.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it was in 5-gallon heaters, 5-gallon heated coffee urns.
So big places that would need 10 gallons or more of coffee or 5 gallons or more of coffee for their coffee breaks. It's
Companies,
not just
businesses.
big deals, yeah.
And I would go around there like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and take this stuff in.
Wow.
I can't remember what business it was, but I took one in one morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody was there. I went in, and to check and make sure that the heater was working, I put it under a water.
Now the heater, that's like a coil, right? Something that you put into the...
Yeah, it's not a coil. It's just a long rod, but there was something that I'm sure inside that.
Right.
But it was a heating rod, and I just wanted to it was stainless steel, and it screwed into the top of it.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure it was operating, so I put it under the faucet and turned it on, and almost electrocuted myself.
Oh my God.
I couldn't let go of it.
Yeah.
And I went to my knees, and when I did, it pulled the plug out of the wall. I mean, I could have ended right there.
You could have.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody was around.
Wow.
And I was sitting there holding the thing, being electrocuted. And boom, and woo. It shocked me a little bit. Wow, that was close.
So, I mean, just a little thing. I mean, does that mean that if it were put into the coffee, it would have electrocuted somebody later who dealt with it, or
no,
what?
It was that I turned the water on and I closed the circuit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
See, because the water, transport.
Yeah. Your hand or whatever was wet, and you've got the. Yeah.
And I had this in one hand and the thing in the other hand, and I was in the circuit, and bingo. But I went down, and as I went down, it pulled the plug out of the wall.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that much about. Oh man, that was something. And off I went. But what I do remember about it, and I think I told you before, I had to deliver 2 5-gallon heaters or jugs of coffee to the medical building at the University of Washington campus. And the steps to get up to that place, there must have been 200 of them. And each one of those things probably weighed 60 pounds. And to carry 2 of them up those stairs, you had to carry this stuff about 200 yards.
Oh my God.
And I've rooted against the University of Washington ever since. The football field, you could see part of it, the stands were kind of behind the medical building. So I knew where the football field was. And I carried those. Oh, I hated that.
Forget the Huskies.
Yeah.
That's great. So that's where you're working when you get the call from Chief
I
Grimstead.
think it was. That's about the same time I was working there. And then I lost that job because I was going down an alley about 3 o'clock in the morning fast, and I didn't see the guard for a drain pipe that came out and hit the delivery truck and broke the windshield and banged up the delivery truck pretty good. They fired me.
Oh my God. In Seattle, where were you staying?
At first, we stayed in the Elliott Hotel, and then after we moved out of there, we moved to a houseboat under the Lake Union Bridge.
Oh my God.
And that's where we were living for about the last few weeks.
Just like to rent?
Yes, we just rented a houseboat.
That's great. That's
and
cool.
That's where we were at the kind of near the end of it. That's where we left from. When I took off, that's where we were staying.
Who was the guy in Seattle, downtown on Pike Street at the Elliott? The Jack.
Oh, Jack Cook. Yeah, when we were taking off, the day we were taking off, or the evening, I think it was the day we were taking off, I was talking to him at the donut shop under the Elliott Hotel where we used to live. But we still kind of hung out there, even though we were, living down at Lake Union.
Because it's right. The Elliott was. We looked it up. I guess it's not there any longer. But just right across from the Pike
It's
Street.
First and Pike Street.
Yeah, right.
I lived on the corner of First and Pike on the 3rd floor.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we could look right down out the window and see the
See the fish
front,
market, yeah.
see the main entrance to the fish market.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a.
But we were there, and I told him we were taking off, and Jack Cook reached in his pocket and pulled out a $20 bill and handed it to me. He said, "You're going to need this."
Now he was just like a street guy.
He was
right?
a street guy.
Wow.
Now I think he had an apartment someplace or a place he lived. I never saw it or anything, but he just hung out in the street there. And I don't know if he had any more money or not, but he reached in his pocket and he pulled out one $20 bill and handed it to me.
Oh my God.
And I've never forgotten it.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the what you did with Dennis and the guy about the what was the Matador or whatever it was? What was the name of the bar?
No, yes, my one major indiscretion is Dennis met this guy. Dennis was always a trouble waiting to happen, but he was a nice guy. He was a fun guy. Don't kid you. He wasn't a jerk or anything. He was just.
Trouble waiting to happen is often a fun guy.
Yeah, and he really was. But anyway, he met this guy, and I can't remember the guy's name. But anyway, this guy was a burglar. And he told me he'd been a burglar for 18 months and never spent a day in jail.
A whole 18 months, huh?
Right. He was, well, anyway, we didn't have any money.
Right.
And so he was going to show us how. And so I went with Dennis and that guy one night, and we broke into this bar named the Matador that was kind of down there fairly close to where we lived on Lake Union. It was on the way there.
Okay.
And we got in okay. It was pretty easy to do. And I was amazed at how much money was in a jukebox. We got $250 out of that jukebox.
Did you have to bust into the jukebox?
Yeah, we broke into it to
okay,
get it. We had
okay.
to got a screwdriver or something and popped into it.
Okay,
And got
okay.
it. I mean, Dennis's buddy knew how to do this stuff. But anyway, I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid or anything. That didn't even. It was just, ooh. I don't like. I'm not a thief. I don't steal from others. I don't like when someone steals from me, and I didn't want to ever have anything. I never ever had anything to do with anything like that again.
Right.
I can't say I felt dirty. I just felt wrong.
Yeah.
Just how would I like somebody to do this to me?
Right.
And that was the end of it for me.
Wow.
They asked me if I wanted to go another time. I said no, I wasn't interested. Whatnot.
Yeah.
Well. A couple of weeks later, they both ended up in jail.
Really? Oh no, they got
Dennis in jail and him, and that's when Joe and I took off.
Okay.
We weren't running for. It didn't bother us. We weren't there, but it was just
Right.
time to leave, and we came home. And then he went back to Arizona, and I don't know. I never heard from Joe again.
What was waiting for you in Southern California when you?
I
got
went
back?
home, and. My mother was there, and I felt I probably should. My father was dead, just my mother and my sisters, so I went home. And I started working for the studios, or not the studios right away. I went to work for the local 150, working as the relief man in theaters around L.A., and I worked in a lot of them.
Okay.
That year I got a stack of W-2s, or maybe 50 of them in there from all the different theaters I'd worked at.
So you just
1 or 2 nights.
You just get a call. You're filling in for their projectionist.
Yeah, I'd get a call from the business agent, and they'd ask me to go places.
Wow. Back when a projectionist was needed
Yeah.
for these kinds of things.
Right.
That's crazy.
And then Emmett Welch got a hold of me, and I went to work for the studio.
So they contacted you. The 165 contacted you?
Yeah, he did when I finally went to work for him. But I went back to Santa Monica City College, my mother did, and I went a couple of semesters there. And then I was working kind of at the same time and going to Santa Monica City College.
Okay.
But I only went a couple of semesters there. And then I started working for the studio, and then my mother died
Oh, wow.
when I was 22.
Yeah.
I worked for the studios until for the next 6 years.
Was it the same thing with your mother passing? It was just something that had happened or something
Oh,
that
no,
happened to her? Was it-
that really bothered me.
that got you?
Yeah. Yeah, I love my mother dearly.
Yeah.
And but what can you do? You know, it wasn't a fun time.
Yeah. Were you living there in the house there, or
Yes.
had you moved? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was living then in the room under would have been Nancy's apartment. So I had my own way of coming and going. You know, I was an adult by then.
Yeah. What was being a projectionist in the studios like?
Boring.
Yeah.
I mean, when I would work for Technicolor, I just ran the projector for a viewer that was watching the film coming off the printer, looking for any discrepancies or
Right.
any problems with it,
Right, with the
color
chemistry
or
and the-
scratches or that sort of thing.
Basically, a quality control for
Yes,
all
it's
the
a quality control.
all
That's-
the-
when
the
it comes
multi-
right off the printer, you check it for quality control. If it's good, it's good, and then it goes in the can and off it goes.
And Technicolor is printing. What they're doing is they're printing all these films, that then get all these copies of films that then
Oh,
just
yeah,
get sent
they-
off to all the theaters across
You're right.
the
Oh
country.
yeah, they
right?
send there are 200, 400, 500 copies of all these
Right,
films, and
right.
then they're sent all over the place. I probably worked there about half the time that I was working for the studios, and the other half the time I worked in like Columbia Pictures, and where else did I work? Warner Brothers. Then I go in to work in one of their projection booths. At Columbia, I worked in room 1, and
And this is like what you see, and I've talked about like when you're watching a movie and it's about people making a movie and they're sitting in a theater and they're smoking cigars and they're hollering instructions to the projectionist to play the movie so they can watch that's you up in the booth,
that's
right?
me. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What was that other aspect like? Running these. Were you on call? Were you just sitting there waiting to see if anybody needed a projectionist, or were there specific jobs for these other non-Technicolor jobs? Specific
Yeah, they just
jobs
call
that you-
me. But I mean, I worked quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. I was almost working so much that I got to go to work tonight again. And because I was making okay money and I was
Right.
living at home, and then I started working for the studios, and then I had lots of money. And
Well, that's the living that had given you, that your father had made through the Great Depression, and had
Yes.
lived very well doing that.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he was making $100 a week during the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
He was living like a king.
Did they know who you were in the union?
Oh yeah.
How?
When I went and talked to Emmett Welch, and I went in there and signed all the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
He told me as I left, "I've done my duty to your father."
Wow.
Oh no, my father's one of the guys throwing smoke bombs into the theaters in the 20s.
He built that union.
He helped build it. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. That's
No,
great.
Oh, my father was a big union man. He talked about one thing he told me about his childhood, watching people work themselves to death that weren't union.
Oh, wow.
There was a factory around Allenwam somewhere where they made bricks. And he'd say they had a quota of how many they would have to make a day. And then anything over there was overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, they'd take that overtime and push it in. This is what you got to do in a day.
Because you're obviously able to do this, right?
So then they stop paying you the overtime, and you just have to do more in your work day.
Yeah.
And anything over that was overtime, and then it would go again.
Right.
And so you never, you got paid overtime a little bit, and then they'd take it away from you.
Yeah.
And he said he watched people work themselves to death.
Just get strung along like that,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
And what could they do? They owed money to the company's store.
Wow. So he just died in the wool trade unionist then
Yep,
after that.
he
again.
was.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't enjoy working.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I was bored to death.
That's another thing about that is you go, oh, hey, you're working in the studios, you see movie stars, you're working, but no, it was a boring job.
Oh, my
Especially
God.
the Technicolor one where you're just
All I did was sit there. I slept half the time because I worked graveyard shift and then had my days off.
So this is they're processing film 24 hours a
Oh
day.
yeah, it runs 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Wow, man. So how would you sleep while you were there?
I would sleep there, and the viewers would, you get along with the guys. I always got along with my viewers, and I was nice to them. They're nice to me. And if I was sleeping there, well, I have sunglasses on
Because
in
it's a
this
bright
dark room
right?
because of the bright lights
Yeah.
of the, and you could get away with it because of that. And I'd put my sunglasses on, and just kick back in my chair and doze off. And if I see anybody coming, like the manager, he'd just reach over and touch me, and okay.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
Yeah,
So he'd
and
give you the
I never got caught sleeping. But on my breaks, I'll get up, go into a room that wasn't being used, and sleep for the half hour or so, and then come back in.
Because you weren't sleeping through the day.
Sometimes I did, but I didn't. A lot of days I didn't sleep much, and I had to work all night.
Oh man. Oh, to be like 22 again, right?
Yeah. But I think it was the assistant plant manager, the plant manager. I can truthfully say, undoubtedly, I was the worst employee they ever had. I hated being there. The money was great, but I hated being there.
Right.
And a couple of times, the plant manager, I opened my eyes one night behind my sunglasses, and he was standing right in front of me, looking at me.
He walked up on you.
And I was asleep when he got there, but I opened my eyes. But he couldn't see that. And I said, yes, or excuse me, or something. I acknowledged that he was standing there looking at me, and he turned around and walked away. And then a while after that, I heard this commotion kind of behind us in the dark. And he had tripped and fallen over something, trying to sneak up behind me, I think, and sprained his ankle.
What was he going to do? Jump out at you?
I
Like,
don't know.
boom?
I have no idea. He was going to catch me, I think.
Wow.
But what's the pant sneaking around behind the projectors for? But he was sneaking, and he tripped over something back there and fell. But anyway, that was. But all the time I worked there, that was about the only. And that was. He just got up and left. Then I didn't know he'd hurt. I heard later he'd hurt his ankle. He didn't go oh and cry, and people had to. He got up and got away.
Slipped away. Yeah.
But when I finally quit, I believe I can't remember. Was I working? I think I was working at Technicolor.
Okay.
Again, when I finally quit. In fact, I'm sure I was, because this guy named Ed Ager was at Columbia. No, I think it was Technicolor. But I called him up from Patrick's Point up here. I had to be back to work on Monday, and this was a Friday.
And this is years in the future. This is after what, your second flight?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had 2 in the bank. I had 13 grand in the bank.
Right.
And we came up here. I think Monique had gone someplace. And Dave McGordon and I, a friend of ours, he and I drove up and went salmon fishing up in this area. We went up to Washington. We got a bunch of salmon out of Westport, Washington.
Oh, wow.
Went out in a little boat and caught them. And then you trade your fish for half the weight in canned salmon.
Oh, is that how?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
how it went.
okay. That's
But we were on our way back, and we stopped at Patrick's Point to stay there. We are, sometimes we stayed in a motel, sometimes we slept outside and stuff. But I didn't want to go back. So I went to the payphone and called Ed Ager.
because you would have had to have been back. What was the timing? Like the next morning or something
No,
ridiculous?
this was a Friday, and we had to be back by Monday.
Okay.
So it was 2 days away, but I would have had to drive all the way down there.
Yeah.
by then, And I called him up and said, Ed, this is Bob Brewer. I just want to let you know I won't be coming back to work. Thank you. Click.
That's
No,
it.
he didn't say thank you. He said, okay, click. And that was the end of my projection.
Wow.
Right then. My projectionist career was over with.
Tell me about learning to fly.
I was coming home from work one morning after working the graveyard shift at probably Technicolor, And as I drove on Bundy Drive in front of the Santa Monica airport, I saw this little Cessna 150 coming on glide slope ready to land, coming into land. And I thought, I'd really like to do that. I want to be able to do that. And I'd made a right turn on Airport Avenue right there. It was 100 yards away.
Wow.
And I just made a right. I went down, hit my turn signal, turned on, went down. First place on the left was Canal Aviation. Pulled in there, walked in there, and signed up for a private pilot's license.
That's wow. I love that. Once again, another one of those snap things that just goes click.
There I was.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned to fly. And about the same time, I met my first wife.
Yeah, right.
Her name's Susan, because I met her flying. I was learning to fly, and so was she. And that's when we met, and I was 22 then.
Wow, my God.
I believe.
So tell me about Susan.
She was real smart. She was the valedictorian of San Pedro High School in 1961. And she and I got along well. We got married. We were living in West LA. And after 11 months, I decided I didn't want to be married. I was too young.
Right.
And
you guys are both just kids.
We were.
Yeah.
And we went our separate ways, and she was a wonderful girl. I just wasn't ready yet.
Right.
And she said, if you don't want to be married to me, I don't want to be married to you. And then I found her a boyfriend who she married. A guy, I was racing cars then when we parted. And the guy that I was racing to and learning how the same time I was, his name was Will. And he came up to me and said, boy, I met your wife. She sure is. I wish I'd met her before you. And I said, well, listen, we're going our separate ways. If you're interested, give her a call.
As chance would have it. That's wild. Yeah.
And they got together and they got married.
That's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And but they were together when I crashed my Formula car the last time.
Let's get into racing then. Let's do that. You're learning to fly. You have learned or are learning. How long does learning to fly take? How long before you get your certificate or what?
You're flying solo pretty quickly, because first you have to, you go with an instructor until you're good enough, and he takes you up and you learn to solo. So you can go by yourself. And then he stands there while you go around once by yourself. And then you have times you go with the instructor, and you can also go fly and practice solo.
Okay.
But you can't take anybody with you.
Not yet, yeah.
Yeah, you have your learner's permit, but you can fly yourself, but you can't take anybody with you. And after... it probably took me a couple of months of flying until I got my pilot's license, my private pilot's license. And
I'm sorry, go.
And Susan at the same time was getting hers, but as soon as she soloed, she quit.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, I mean, she understood herself. She said, I got up there in that airplane by myself and thought, if something goes wrong, I'm screwed. She just didn't feel comfortable by herself in the airplane.
Right.
And so she quit. To me, I understood mechanics and stuff, and guys are a little different, but I could see her point. So she quit, and I don't think she ever got a license or anything, but that's how we met. And then we were together. We were married for 11 months. We lived in West LA. And
when you were together, were you already racing? When you met her, were you already racing?
Yes.
Okay, how'd you get into the racing? How'd that start?
I started because when I started working for the studios, I was making good money, and I bought a little 56 Porsche Speedster coupe. And I was driving that when I was going to Santa Monica City College.
Okay.
And I went to some rallies. They have these sports car rallies where you go up at Dodger Stadium in the parking lot, and they'll set up cones around, and then a course around the cones. And then you have these time trials of speeding around, who can get around the course quickest. And I went to 3 or 4 of those, and I didn't do it very good.
Did they teach you anything, or are you just going to go run this course and see how you do?
I was just going zipping around as fast as I could, and I wasn't very good at it. I probably finished in the middle of the pack or whatnot. I didn't have the tires for it. Some of these guys were really into it. But I was out there in my little Michelin street tires and everything, zipping around. But I liked it. I got a feel for it. And I had read a book by Sterling Moss, All But My Life, a famous British race car driver who was one of the best ever of it at his time.
All But My Life. I
All
love
But
that.
My Life by Sterling Moss.
Uh-huh.
And just like Cheechako, I drank it all up. Looks like my kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
What got me about Sterling Moss, one, he never drove for Ferrari because he was going to drive for Ferrari. He went down there and, and then Enzo Ferrari screwed him over, got another guy when he was just really getting going.
Oh, man.
And blew him off for another driver. And Sterling Moss said, I'll never drive for him. And after Moss got famous and was the best, Enzo Ferrari tried every trick in the book to get him to come drive for him again, and he wouldn't do it.
Wow.
It kept him from being world champion.
Really?
Had he drove for Enzo Ferrari, he would have been champions, but he wouldn't do it.
Oh, man.
But I had the greatest respect for Sterling Moss. I mean, just his ethics, as well as in the 1955 and 56 in Italy, they had a road race called the Mille Miglia or something like that, 1,000 miles through the countryside. And they only, after 56, they canceled it because it was just simply too damn dangerous.
Uh-huh.
But
Seems
Sterling
like
Moss,
dangerous for everybody
for
involved.
everybody involved. I mean, these are just going down roads and
Right,
stuff,
right.
you know, and with people in their ox carts and stuff on too.
Yeah.
They probably shoot him off. I don't know. But anyway, Sterling Moss, this was 1,000 miles, and he won the 55 and 56 one going away. Nobody could even get close to him. And it was in a Mercedes-Benz Gullwing. And the guy he had riding with him was the guy that rode in the sidecars on motorcycle racing, the one that hung way out with his head's just off the ground.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you have to be plain crazy to do that, you know. But they mapped the whole course on a roll of paper, and it was too loud in the car for them to talk back and forth, so
Right.
they did it with hand signals.
That's
And he'd be going 130, 140 miles an hour, and here come a corner, a hill. Sterling Moss would look at the guy next to him, and he would either go straight ahead, which way. They had hand signals, and he would either do what was necessary to handle the curve that, or
just so
the
he didn't
hill.
have to slow down.
So
out
he
of
didn't have to
ignorance. He
slow
knew what
down
was
for
coming.
without necessity.
Yeah.
They would go over hill. He would get airborne going over some
Yeah.
hills with this thing. A plane tried to keep up with them, and they drove away from an airplane. You know, a light plane going maybe 110 miles an hour.
Right,
They drove
right.
away from him.
Wow.
I mean, you can't do that. But they did it.
Oh, man.
And he won these. I bet it was so dangerous. That was it. And I always thought, wow, what a trip to go like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I was driving through Redondo Beach in my little 56 Porsche one day.
People with ox carts in the road. Yeah.
No, but I was driving through Redondo Beach,
Mm-hmm.
and I went by Vashak Polak Porsche.
Uh-huh.
And there in the window was this little silver 57 Speedster race car. I pulled in and said, how much? $2,000 sold.
Wow.
And I bought it
Mm-hmm.
and started learning how to race cars. I went to driver training school with the SECA.
So this is your second Porsche?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So
But
you're.
this wasn't a street car. This
Yeah.
was my little race car. It wasn't street legal.
Okay. What was now? We've talked a little bit about this. What about it wasn't street? What made it not street legal?
Well, it didn't have tags. It didn't have a license plate.
A bumper.
It did. Now it did have headlights and tail lights, but it didn't have a wind. It had just a little windscreen.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
it.
turn signals.
And yeah, and it had numbers on the side of it. I was number 4
You were
or
number
41. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And it was silver.
it was silver, and it had a
Nice.
roll bar.
Okay. All right.
You know. So anyway, I went and bought that, and I had to get I bought a little trailer, and I bought an old Chevy 350 horsepower pickup truck to drag it around in.
Sure.
And I started racing it on. First, I went to driver training school and learned. And my first instructor was a guy named Jim Ditmore, and he was the D production champion from a year before or something. He had a place down in Manhattan Beach. He had a motorcycle shop, or not motorcycle, muffler shop. And he did a lot of stuff like that. He was a good guy. And the first time we went around, I was zipping, you know, he rode with me. He was the instructor. And I went zipping around, sliding around the corners and all. We got done with the first lap. And he said, well, here's the deal. He said, you can be spectacular or you can be good. You can't be them both. And he started to show me how you didn't want to be sliding like crazy around, how sometimes you drift a little, but you didn't want to be losing traction.
Right.
And the more you turned the wheel, the slower you went.
Okay.
You know, and he explained all this, and I got pretty good. The first time I went around that track at Willow Springs, and I drove around that track a lot of times, hundreds of times, maybe 1,000 times.
Wow.
Going out and practicing on weekends and stuff. It's out by Rosemont, California.
Okay.
Heading out to Palmdale, that area. But the first time I went around there, I remember I went around in 2 minutes and 21 seconds. And I thought I was flying. A couple of years later, I was going in 149, 140. Yeah, and you know.
Wow.
Big difference. I was probably going close to 30 seconds faster, and I thought I was flying in the beginning.
Which car did you give the biker the little demonstration?
That was the Porsche.
Was that the second Porsche?
The race car.
The race car.
Yeah, that's the first race car I had.
Okay.
But I kept that down at a friend of mine who belonged to the Straight Satans motorcycle club. And I met him from work. His name was Teddy Dale. And but by that time, I'd left the house I was raised in, and I believe I was living. That was after Susan too, because where was I? Can't even remember. I might have been living down on the beach, but I didn't have a place to keep my car, so I keep it at Teddy Dale's house down in Venice. He had an extra garage, and his biker friends would come over and they'd work on their stuff at his place too. But I knew some of these guys, the guys that started the Straight Satans or the Schumacher brothers, and I grew up with them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Joe Schumacher and I went all the way through elementary school together and everything, you know. But anyway, so I was there over at his place, working on my car one day, and the bikers were all over there too. And this one guy comes ambling over and says, "Take me for a ride in this thing." And I said, "Sure." And I, just to get along, go along and get along. So he jumped in the passenger side and buckled in. There were seatbelts on both sides.
Okay.
And I buckled in, and I took him for a ride around the block and just scared the shit out of me. I mean, until you can come up to a corner with a car like that and have spider brakes and the way it handled, I mean, I just zip around, and that scared the hell out of me. And I can understand why. I wouldn't want to sit next to a guy going that fast.
Right.
You think I'm going to crash, and then whoop, around the corner. We got out of the car after one lap around the block. He jumped out of that car and said, "This motherfucker's crazy." I was all good with those guys after that.
That was it. You were
This
in,
motherfucker's crazy. But
So what was racing like in that car? Did you win many?
I took second in the first race I was in, and I won 2 or 3 of them during driver training school. But after that, I took second, and I believe I took a third. I raced. The best race I ever had, though, was at Laguna Seca, because I turned it over. I rolled it right up at the top of the hill just before you go through the corkscrew S's.
Okay.
It's all changed now.
Yeah.
But I came around, got sideways, and then just barely rolled over. It didn't hurt the car at all.
Oh, wow,
And
cool.
I crawled out from under it, and a couple of spectators came out and helped me roll it back over. I jumped back in it, fired it up, and off I went.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't hurt it at all.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a little scratch on the side, a couple of things.
Right. But good job roll bar, right?
Yeah. But I barely rolled over, too. I just went up on my side and then just barely rolled over.
Okay, no
so
force.
It didn't really hit anything hard or anything. But that car never ran so good. I don't know what it did with the carburation. I have no idea. But I got to start the race. I did this during qualifying.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't qualify. So they made me start last. By the time the first lap was through, I was in the middle of the field.
Whoa.
And I believe I took 4th in that race, because I know I didn't get a trophy for it, but I would have. Except for the fact somebody blew an engine and dumped a bunch of oil on the track about the last third of it, and it slowed me up and everybody up. So there wasn't much passing after that.
Right.
But I was flying that day.
Wow.
And at the end of the race, they weighed the winner, who was the E-Production champion that year, a guy with a Morgan out of Seattle, and me. I was 10 pounds, 15 pounds to the good.
What's that mean?
You
I
have to
no
weigh
idea.
so much. If I was underweight, I'd have been disqualified.
Oh, okay.
I was 15 pounds to the good.
Wow.
I'd never weighed the car in my life before that.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So that wasn't a common thing they didn't do that at like with racehorses?
I finished, I believe, fourth.
Uh-huh.
Or might have been in fifth, but I think I finished fourth. And I would have got a trophy if I'd gone. If that guy hadn't dropped the
would have been,
oil,
yeah.
I probably couldn't have caught the guy in the Morgan.
Okay.
But the other guys I probably would have caught. So I probably got a third or a second. But I think
so they weighed you because you'd made up so much
I
ground
had
in the
gone
race.
so fast
Gotcha.
through everybody.
They're going, oh, this guy's got to be light, so he's fat. Yeah.
Let's see what the deal is.
Wow.
What the deal was, that car was running just
because it maybe because it
I
had been
don't
upside
know
down.
why. And actually, I didn't have the real money to be racing again. A lot of these guys had so much money. They had mechanics come with them and all this and that. I had one guy that would come with me that worked up at a place. I had work done on it, and I did it myself. And I had one set of racing tires for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I didn't really have the money to compete. My mother told me she hated my race car. She said
Right.
it's a rich man's sport. Well, she was right.
So, why buy the Formula B car then and take it up a notch like that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was racing the Porsche Speedster, and I really can't think of why.
Mm-hmm.
I had the money. The Formula car only cost me a couple of grand, too.
Right. Oh, okay.
And I saw it in the what was the racing paper?
Oh.
God, I can't. But anyway, I saw an ad of it, Competition Press.
Right.
It was in the Competition Press for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And it belonged to a guy who's an engineer at Disneyland. He engineered some of the rides and stuff. And it was the car that Mark Donohue had won the U.S. championship within 5 years earlier.
Uh-huh.
But old race cars aren't worth much. I bought it for like $2 grand.
They depreciate really quickly. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they go down and, you know, there's only one purpose for them, and not they're an antiquated car.
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah.
But I had fun in that, though. The race I remember, the last one, I crashed it in turn 2 at Riverside,
Uh-huh.
or turn 1. I think I went around 1 and crashed it in turn 2. Yeah, but I raced the Lake Tahoe Grand Prix in 1967.
Wow.
And finished 9th and got paid $150. I was the last one to get paid.
But you got in the money,
But I
right?
got the money, which makes me a professional race driver.
There you go.
But I think I told you before, the one thing I really remember about that is the winner of that race.
Uh-huh.
And the pole sitter was a guy named Gus Hutchinson. I believe he's from Texas oil guy. And he lapped me twice during the race. But the second time he lapped me, he came around me, and then we came to a sweeping right-hander, and I went back around him and almost lost
On the top side of the...
Yes.
Yeah.
And almost lost it. And it was the stupidest thing in the world to do. I mean, I wasn't going to beat this guy. I mean, it was just, I did it to do it.
Well, you did it, but even then, he's still going to be a lap ahead of you, right?
Oh, he was
Yeah.
at 2 laps ahead.
Right, exactly, even if you passed
instead of being 2 laps, he was now 1 lap.
Right.
And then the next straightaway, he was 2 laps ahead. But when he came by me, after I went around him and we kept the little straightaway, and he went boom, right by me, he looked at me like I was the stupidest fuck on the face of the earth. And I don't blame him. I'd have to agree.
Because why?
There was no reason for what I did other than I just wanted to do it.
Why is it a dangerous thing to do like that?
Because he was in a better car, a faster car. He was a better driver, and I went around him.
But was it dangerous because you were on the outside on a right-hand curve too?
Why do you take a chance like that?
But what's the chance you're taking? That's
Crashing us both.
Okay, both of you. Oh, okay. So he's looking at you like you're not just an idiot for yourself. You could have taken me out too.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Well, it depends.
Right.
I mean, I could have lost it and banged into him or something.
Yeah.
I almost lost it.
Well, yeah, because you're up.
Yeah, and my car wasn't as good as his.
Uh-huh.
And he was just zipping by everybody, and I went back around him just because I wanted to take. He went by me, fuck you, I went by him.
Yeah.
You know? That was it.
And we've looked up pictures of the kind of car that your Formula B car.
Right.
That is a sweet little car.
And actually, the picture we looked at, it looked better than that.
Really?
Because the one we looked at had kind of a pointed front on it.
Uh-huh.
The one I had was kind of round off, had an air scoop kind of.
Oh, ooh. Oh, okay.
I was sitting there on, just in the pits. And another guy that had a Formula car, I'd seen him a couple of races, came up to me. It was cobalt blue.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "That's the most puss race car I've ever seen." And it was. That Elva 300 I had was a beautiful race
I've never heard that as a good term. Puss meaning what?
Beautiful.
Just beautiful. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is the most cool, race car I've ever seen.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a neat looking car.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How many times did you race that car?
1, 2.
Yeah, you can count them
3,
like singly,
4.
can't you?
I raced it at the Santa Barbara sports car races once. I raced it in Las Vegas once or twice.
Uh-huh.
I raced at the 67 Grand Prix. I crashed it at Riverside, and I raced it there twice.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting up 5, 6 times.
Right. Right.
Where else? Willow Springs. I might have raced it at Willow Springs once, too. I used to go out there to practice a lot, though, so it's kind of hard to... I raced it 5 or 6 times.
You also modeled with it, right? Or was it with the Porsche? Which car was it that you...
That was the Formula car where...
Yeah.
No, what happened...
This sounds so 60s. This is just beautiful. Please.
Oh, okay. I got a call one day. It was, I think it was it was while I was still married. I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
But this guy who was a friend of my wife's from work or something was a photographer. And he was taking pictures of some models and whatnot. And they wanted a backdrop. And he asked her if they could maybe have me in my car as a backdrop for these pictures of this model.
Right.
And so they came over, and where we took the pictures, we were keeping the car someplace. And it's just before, I think just before or just after we split up. I can't
you and
remember.
Susan.
But she came over, she's a real pretty blonde girl, a model. We came over and they took some pictures of her and me in the car and all this stuff, with her standing next to her like he was my girlfriend or some shit like that. I don't know.
Wow.
And we took those pictures, but that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But,
God, I'd love to find those. I'd love to find those pictures. That
I
would
don't
just be
know even
something.
what they were for.
Right. They may not have ever
Yeah.
made it off a contact
Yeah.
sheet for a photographer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's great, though. What did you wear?
Oh, I don't remember.
You didn't have like the fireproof thing going on, right? Or like the jumpsuit sort of thing? Or was it, dungarees?
My driving suit was a little blue driving suit that we dipped into a bucket full of fire resistant. And that was it. Once
So
it-
like just the overalls that were dipped
they
in?
were, blue overalls that a driving suit, and we dipped it into stuff that was and let it dry, and it was fire
I
resistant,
had no idea. That's great.
and that was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I wonder how effective that would have been. I'm glad you never had to figure that out.
Yeah,
Speaking
me
of
too.
never having to figure that out, tell me about the wreck.
Oh, the last time I ever raced the car was at Riverside, and I went around a slower car in turn 1. Yeah, it was in turn 1, I think, or I can't even remember it now, but I think that was...
Was it right after the straightaway?
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
no, it was right after the start-finish line.
Oh,
And
okay,
you make
okay.
a turn to the left, and then you go into 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 are the S's, and 6 is a right-hander, and then 7's a left-hander, and 8's a right-hander, and then the straightaway.
Okay.
And turn 9's at the end of it, then you come around to start-finish line.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
But anyway, I went around this slower car, C-class Formula car, which had smaller engines.
Uh-huh.
And I went around one on its high side and got up in the marbles and lost it. And I went sideways and went across the track, and there was a cinder block wall, maybe 3 feet tall, 20 yards off the track. Mm-hmm. And between the track and was just dirt. Mm-hmm. And I went off that, and I saw that wall coming at me, And first thing I thought was, I hope I don't go over that wall. And the second thing I thought, look, this is going to cost me a fortune to fix this car.
Oh, jeez.
That's what went through my mind. And I hit the wall and went skidding down it. And I remember seeing some sparks in the stuff, and there was dust everywhere. And I came to a stop, and I could smell gasoline. So I jumped out of the car and got out of it.
Right.
And that was it. And then Susan came up to me just a little while later. Are you okay? Are you okay? Because she saw it happen. She and Will were at the race.
She's there with the guy, the boyfriend that you'd found her, right? Yeah.
And I think they hadn't gotten married yet.
Okay.
But I think,
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you know that was your last time?
Not then, but I had to get the car fixed and I don't know. It was just I wasn't winning anything with it. I could, it was starting to dawn on me. I wasn't going to compete with these faster cars. I'm kind of slow picking up on this stuff. And so I put it in the paper and I sold it for what I bought it for with the front end crashed in.
Wow.
But it wouldn't have been much to fix it. And
Yeah,
I
you
don't
said
know what
like the
happened
frame wasn't affected.
the frame wasn't
that was
hurt much or anything.
So did you get trophies for racing, for the races you placed in?
I got one for the first race. First time I ever raced, I raced at Riverside, or no, at Willows. Where was it? I got a trophy for the first time I raced it. I finished second.
Yeah.
And I think that's when Voshak's Polak's tuner had still been in there doing it, ran better. I don't think it ran as well later when I was just doing it all myself.
Oh, really? Okay.
I came to this conclusion after it was all over with. Yeah.
There's that much of an art to like maintaining something
Sure,
like that?
and having all the different stuff, the tools and everything to do it with, and having the experience. I was learning as I went.
What happened to the trophies?
They got tossed in a trash can when I became a hippie, along with all my father's sailboat racing trophies.
Got rid of them all, huh?
I moved on my sailboat. I don't have room for all this shit. Who needs it? Bourgeois crap. Threw it all away.
Wow.
I wish I hadn't.
In the next episode of The One They Couldn't Catch, Bobby becomes a yachty and takes to the same Southern California waters his father had sailed. There's more racing too, but is part of a crew now on Pete's schooner La Volpe. Bobby also gets his first insight into just what kind of a guy his future partner is.
And then we look way up ahead, and you can see the lights on the ends of the jetties at Marina Del Rey, and we knew where the finish line was. And there was one light, a mast light ahead of us.
Oh, wow.
And we went by it 100 yards before the finish line and won the race by 100 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, we impressed ourselves. I went, whoa. And but that's the time when we went and got the trophy for that. That Pete took like that trophy like he had done it.
Oh.
Well, yeah, he bought the boat, but John Piner had sailed that boat.
Right.
That's next time on The One They Couldn't Catch. I'm Paul Kritz.